Hi guys and dolls, that girl's here again. This month I plan to do our Fashion Friday Cinema Coffee Chats at the coffee house a little bit different as we enter Summer Under the Stars the entire month of August on TCM. So, to the break room classic film fans, it's tea time for a coffee break.
Can you get Cab Calloway on it?
Can you get it?
Heck, my pantywaist sugar.
I'm shocked. Gambling is going on in here.
By the way, how is your father?
But I want to know, does it bother you?
Welcome back to the coffee house. I have been away for a month, but the door was always open. You could have come in at any time. So if you are new to the coffee house, if you are new to me, welcome, come on in, grab a seat, grab your favorite coffee mug with whatever it is that you drink. And as I said earlier, we're gonna do things a little bit different this month for Summer Under the Stars. In the past, I've recommended one film each day for the particular actor or actress being spotlighted the day prior as a heads up, as well as writing quick sips of cinema coffee a few years back, highlighting what film that I recommended and why. Even last year, dedicating an entire cinema coffee write up for one particular film, Morituri, included in my Marlon Brando series, as Marlon Brando was spotlighted last year during Summer Under the Stars, which I have already drafted to repeat this year at the end of the month for Allons Dillon in La Samurai. This year, I plan to do the same thing in person. Each Friday, I'll give you my week-long recommend lineup, choosing one film that I'd recommend over all the others in the actor's 24-hour lineup for each actor or actress. As I'm going to keep these quick, simple, and to the point, I'm going to throw in my Fashion Fridays at the end of each one, as I do have a garment that has, at one time or another, been inspired by at least one of these films, actors, genre, year, or decade itself. On my social media accounts at Dominique Revue, I will give you daily reminders of the films that I have chosen for you each Friday as a heads up, which will go a little something like this. Barbara Stanwyck, Rock Hudson, Rita Hayworth, S.Z. Cuddles, Sakall, Ann Miller, Burt Lancaster, and Sylvia Sidney. First up, Babs, The Mad Miss Manton, 1938. 2 words, Hattie McDaniel. That's it. That's the tweet.
Oh, it's you. I'll force my way in. If you do, she told me to throw a pitcher of water plumb in your face. I'll risk it.
Day 2, Sunday, Rock Hudson. Yes, we get pillow talk. Yes, we're going to get Giant. We're going to get Written on the Wind. And probably what he is most talked about, All That Heaven Allows. Magnificent Obsession, 1954. Based on the 1929 novel by Lloyd Douglas, here directed by Douglas Sirk. Originally adapted to screen in 1935 with Robert Taylor and Irene Dunne by Universal, directed by John Malcolm Stahl. Yes, Backstreet, the 1932 adaptation, Imitation of Life, the 1934 adaptation, When Tomorrow Comes, another Charles Boyer, Irene Dunne film, 1939, The Keys of the Kingdom, 1944, which I always think gets lost in Gregory Peck's filmography chats. Now, I admit, the 1935 adaptation is my favorite of the adapts. I think it has more to do with it was the first one that I saw before I even knew that the 1954 adaptation existed. Yet the 1954 adaptation is more of a mom and I film, and you guys know how I am with the mom and I films. It's the reason I created my Cinema Coffee Chats in the first place. We had seen so many promos on it where we made it a double feature night, watching Magnificent Obsession, following it up with Rock Hudson and Jane Wyman's other collaboration, All That Heaven Allows, 1955, and made it a double night feature. It was cappuccino, popcorn, and all, which will air early in the day for Rock Hudson's Summer Under the Stars lineup at 11 a.m. Central Time. Day 3, Rita Hayworth. You already know, that's my girl. Not only is Rita Hayworth my fave, GILDA, 1946. GILDA never makes the list, and GILDA always goes without saying. For anyone who knows me knows GILDA is my #1 favorite film of all time. If anyone tells you different, tell them you don't know it, bruh. I mean, GILDA really is the film single-handedly responsible for turning my love of classic cinema into a profession, into more than just watching classic films for enjoyment. Growing up with classic cinema, GILDA really was the turning point in my film watching career, both professionally and personally. Specifically with Glenn Ford and Rita Hayworth, that was the point where I started getting into biographies, documentaries, trying to find out all the information I could on actors' lives, specifically those two, which opened up a whole new door of me wanting to explore all actors, directors, cinematographers, their life and work and career. That was really the changing point for me. And I have a Cinema Coffee write-up all about it, which I will have linked below, and is the reason that I have the dress that I have on the mannequin, which we will get to in a sec.
What I want to know is, does it bother you?
Tuesday, SZ Cuddles Sakall, CYNTHIA, 1947. Okay, he does not have a lot of screen time in this film, no spoilers, but there's not a lot of screen time in this film, but CYNTHIA for me is my pick-me-up film. And for you who have seen it already, you might be thinking, really? But yes, like when life was normal and I just didn't have that good of a day, I actually couldn't wait to come home and put in CYNTHIA and watch it. I think, again, it's one of those films that is not as talked about in Elizabeth Taylor's career, her younger career. This is the teenage Elizabeth Taylor. But it's a light, fun pick-me-up. I think the positive turnaround is inspiring. It's something to root for. Also throwing in Lullaby Broadway, 1951 as a bonus. I loved the idea of G. Nelson and Doris Day finally becoming a couple as prior, but they're not love interest in the prior. So I think for this one, it's fun to see them together as a leading couple, a romantic couple in this film, and because of the musical numbers. It's films like this, and this film in particular, that really molded how I wanted to create theatrical productions for myself professionally. Day 5, Ann Miller. REVEILLE with Beverly. Why? Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Bob Crosby, Frank Sinatra, the Mills Brothers, and then some. It is a fun Wake Me Up Wednesday watch. Don't miss it.
Here's a record that I'd be playing for you if I were still greeting you at REVEILLE. He's one of my favorite singers, Frank Sinatra, singing one of my favorite songs, Night and Day.
Thursday, Burt Lancaster. And since they're not showing The Leopard, I'm going for Brute Force, 1947. That's my favorite of the Burt Lancaster films showing in the lineup. Every part of that film draws you in from beginning to end. However, for those of you who are not as versed on Burt Lancaster's acrobatic career as with Trapeze, recommending The Flame and the Arrow, 1950, and The Crimson Pirate, 1952, featuring Lancaster's real-life acrobatic partner from their early 1930s acrobatic days with their act Lang and Cravat, Nick Cravat. Final day, Friday, Sylvia Sidney. Make a day out of it. Make a Sylvia Sidney day. It's Friday. We have nothing to do on Saturday. Let's make a day of it. 24 hours worth. These are some great cinema watches. The whole lineup is chock full of what you want a cinema day to be. But 7 p.m. Central Time, get your coffee, get your snacks, get whatever it is, and sit down to watch Fritz Lang's You and Me with George Raft and Sylvia Sidney. Now, personally, I am a George Raft fan. So as I put as a disclaimer when I post anything George Raft, which at various times is quite a lot, please do not rain on my parade. I do like George Raft. I have probably campaigned You and Me so many times that I had to back away from posting about it so much. I even included that film in my Cinema Coffee write-up, Film Therapy, Coping Through Cinema, after I lost my mom, because this was one of the films that I watched that registered. You know, when you're in that blur, very little registers through you, and that was one of the films that really stuck with me afterward. So I have constantly campaigned that film with George Raft, who gets a lot of slack, but you know, leave your nasty comments in the trash. So this is a perfect opportunity, and this is the first time that TCM is going to even be showing it. So please do not miss You and Me. Cut out me time and make it official, 7 p.m. Central Time on Friday. So we're gonna wrap up this portion of Cinema Coffee and move on to our Fashion Friday for this week, a piece that I call Viper. And as you know, all my garments have names. This is a piece that I created for a segment of a show where I wanted the model to recreate GILDA, the Put the Blame on Mame, the second time it's sung, when GILDA is in her black Jean-Louise gown. As the number itself, I choreographed using 5 actors and models to play a version of Maine, accompanied by 5 gents, or as they were titled and credited in the program, the entourage. I'll probably edit in or display on social media the other garments that I used for the segment to complete the Put the Blame on Mame number on Saturday, which are usually my close-up days for garments, or the day that GILDA will air on Monday, 9 p.m. Central Time. So that's gonna wrap up this week's Cinema Coffee, Fashion Friday, and expect the following weeks to be the same. Quick, simple, and to the point. So until next week, be safe, you guys. Be healthy, be well, stay home, and I'll see you next week. A bientôt.
Can you get Cab Calloway on it?
That's
my panty waist sugar.
I'm shocked. Try that gambling is going on in here.
By the way, how is your father?
But I want to know, does it bother you?
Leighton, let me tell you a story.
So that's gonna do it for me at this. So that's gonna. I'm sorry. You have to entertain yourself.
What's the matter, Nathan? You look sick. A temporary disorder. The cheesecake backed up on it.